We start our tour of Trasona at Viera at the northeast corner and then go down the east property line, the existing collector street, and to show you the benefits of the design. We start out because this street is going to be your first impression fronting a park along this west street. Now, the homes you see, those are actually a 35-foot wide product, but you might think, wait a second, they look 50-foot wide. Full front porch, full entrance, a major window overlooking that park from living space, and a two-car garage. How can that be a 35-foot wide product on a 45-foot wide lot? Well, this is part of a new era of design where you just logic and what you think about products just no longer applies. I mean, look at this house. Yes, it does have a long driveway, but look at the view out the front of the home. We're no longer rearing these homes to the arterial street. We're siding at worst case, and if there are rears exposed, they're typically overlooking a waterway and they're pulled back. So it's not this typical whether it's new urban or suburban, having the home backs 20 foot away from the right of way of an arterial street. So you don't have hardly any double frontage lots. Look at the windows of this home on the side of the home. Look at the front porch. This is the areas that just no don't just look at out the front, but they also look out the rear. Now you're looking at I believe these are 45-foot wide product. They're a little bit higher, wider product. You'll see they have three-car garages where they flare out. And keep in mind, we are driving along the east property line. Now, this is Florida, Florida where everything is cookie cutter. And believe it or not, we have the same density as the grid, the cookie cutter grid. And now we're coming up to a diffuser. Notice the sidewalk is not crossing at the intersection. This trail is crossing far from the intersections. Now, we do have one that is at the intersection. Not every walk is that way, but most of the walks, where possible, we pull away from the intersection. And the reason for that is because when cars are at the intersection and there is some traffic, the people are going to be looking out for other cars. And they're not going to be looking for pedestrians. And keep in mind, pedestrian accidents in the last decade or so have skyrocketed. Now, pedestrians also apply to bicyclists. Look how that walk meanders. We're going down an arterial street. The walks are wider than conventional walks, and typically in the neighborhoods, they are on one side of the street. Only on the internal collectors are they on both sides of the street. And yet we have a more walkable neighborhood. Look at the manholes. Look at those manholes. They're not in the middle of the street. Why do we do that? Because it plummets the manhole counts. So there's new ways to engineer these plans. It's not just the design of the detail that we put into it. There's a whole new way to engineer these neighborhoods. So as we tour this neighborhood, I want you to notice the amount of detail that goes into this 700 home first section. Now you'll see we pulled away from that intersection. The homes flare out at the intersection. This is a neighborhood entrance. We're at an island, so we diffuse the island. In other words, these diffusers eliminate a roundabout. We feel the roundabouts forever add a pedestrian nuisance. It also doesn't flow the traffic, it binds the traffic. So they make a bland grid plan look a little bit better. That's all they do. With the new urbanism, you have to have a park within 500 feet of any home. So you'll see a lot of parks because this did start out as a new urban design, so we had to really hold the precepts. Notice the walk. Okay, we're going straight to the cul-de-sac. That is a closed cul-de-sac. In other words, it's one of the few that don't really connect to another walk system. Most of our cul-de-sacs connect to walks. So instead of a lot of cities would require a walk both sides of the street and around the cul-de-sac. That's a ton of pavement that nobody is going to use. There is no traffic there. People can walk out of their homes, access that walk, and we don't have to have that extra couple $1,000s worth of expense per home. And instead, that money could be used for a nicer home itself or nicer landscaping. Now, also keep in mind, this was designed in 2015, and it started about 3 years ago. I'm not kidding you. This development began about 3 years ago. You are looking at how it exists today. It looks like it's been here for 20 years. On this next section, we're going to go at the northeast corner. Now, there's 4 quadrants on this neighborhood. We're going to go at this point at the northeast corner and go up this meandering street. Now, another element of all these neighborhoods is as you enter them, we want to maintain a constant rate of flow. Again, there's no elements that will impede traffic. And that way we could significantly reduce both time and energy in vehicular traffic. Now, on the left there, you could see this goes down into a cul-de-sac. Look at that home, that far home looking at us. Imagine living in there. You have views out the front, water around the side, water in the back. Same thing with the home next to it. It's just a phenomenal use of geometry. There's the park that's not too far from the other park, walking distance, a circular trail that goes through the neighborhood, the flaring of the home so you could see down this circular trail. And these are 35-foot wide products. The ones on the outside, they flare out, they get wider at the back. They function very much like a 45 to 50 foot wide product. You don't need as much hallway space. So instead of having 20% of a narrow product, having hallway so you can feed the homes, you can plummet or eliminate the hallway space. Also, what is not that apparent on this is every home is designed so that we're coordinating interior views. Where are people living? Where are the windows? Where are the views? Because every one of these homes, whether it's on the front corner or the rear corner, has a panoramic view because there's a constant angle relationship of every home in this neighborhood. So every lot has a specific angle that allows the home to get wider at the front or wider at the rear. Now, for traffic flow, notice these one-way lanes coming to this intersection. Look at the car. It doesn't have to stop. We can significantly reduce energy use, we get more efficient cars, but we don't have more efficient time. It makes a significant difference in the livability of this neighborhood. The homes on the inside of the curve would have a much wider front. Notice on the outside of the curve, the same thing happens because we're scalloping the homes. Not only are we scalloping the homes, look at your line of sight. Your line of sight views the ponds behind the homes. The scalloping allows these homes, this home on the end, not just to have a park-like view out the front, a pond view out the back, but also a pond view down the side windows. Look at the meandering walk. The typical Florida lot is 20-foot setback to a 50-foot right-of-way. That's a wide walk. Look how it meanders, and there's still plenty of room to put an SUV between the garage door and the walk. So we widen up the streetscape. Density is felt from garage to garage, not home width. You can have a 60-foot wide home at 20-foot setback or a 30-foot wide home at 20-foot setback. That's the same amount of space on the street. Look at the attention to detail as we're meandering the walk away from the street. This is an oversized cul-de-sac. It has a park in the middle, detention pond in the middle. Every part of this neighborhood is a unique experience. There is no two parts that feel the same. On a new urban grid or a suburban grid, every area feels the same. You have the repetitiveness, and there's probably, I think, maybe well over 100 floor plans that we worked with both Viera Builders and Annette Turner, who was the initial architect, and to make sure that every home would have increased views, it would have increased living space, decreased interior walls, decreased uh, hallway, so you have more room function. So it's a new era design. It's not just about the facade and the front porch. It's about creating a new form of product, of residential product, and this evolved into new multifamily designs that we're doing today. And this was all born from a suggestion we made at the initial meeting at Viera, where we suggested to Bill Moore, you could make these 35-foot wide homes wider in the front or wider in the back if we have a constant angle in our lot lines. And you know what he said to us? It was unbelievable. Bill Moore said, let's get rid of all of our floor plans and start over. Can you imagine a builder did that? A builder reinvested in their product and just didn't use the same floor plan to save some money on the architecture. It was an amazing thing to witness. And because of that, you can see the success of this neighborhood. Now we're coming up to the main entrance. We haven't even been to the main entrance yet. This is where you want the most impact. And what we did is we've just been showing you where the narrower product was. So we want to make the biggest impact along your main roads. And so now we're going to show you what we accomplished here. Main entrances are very important. We wanted to really make an impact. We've got the ponds at this, the meandering walks. We widen out. We want a increased sense of scale, and we want to make this huge impact. So what we do is we put the largest lots, the widest homes along the main spline street. And we're going to be very aggressive with the setbacks. We want this to almost be like a rural setting so that the feel of this development isn't very dense, and it's like art. It's spectacular. I mean, look at a motorhome. A motorhome is in a driveway and it doesn't even affect the space you would feel. You put a motorhome on a grid plan or a new urban plan in front of a house, you just closed off the space. So this is the main circular trail, goes through all four quadrants of the neighborhood, and we've got at this point a double diffuser. It's for pedestrian traffic. Pedestrians cross it one way. It's safer, and it's also an entrance into the neighborhood on the right, and also an entrance onto the park area on the left, which is also the mail center for this region. So that is a main park at the first phases of this development. Now, what happens here, notice how the walks meander and they change shape. It's to pull your eyes in different directions. The scale of this neighborhood is unbelievable on the ground. You're looking at it from a drone. Imagine you're on the ground. The amount of space you feel is just enormous. So here's our main intersection. Instead of putting a traffic circle, what we've got is a major diffuser, and that allows traffic to stack, but it also allows one-way traffic and round traffic. So it's kind of like a roundabout in the way it functions, but it doesn't slow you down. And you can see there's a lake to the right, and you can see this area here is still yet to be developed. Look at that main trail. It goes right to the southwest corner. Now, we would have liked to take that main trail and just continued it in a straight line, but then you would have an unsafe situation for the pedestrians. Another park, and again, we had to really hold the idea of the new urban flavor of the development, which is, it started out as a new urban development, but we wanted to really increase the pedestrian safety, pedestrian connectivity over the grid, reduce the street. Here's another main trail crossing from, again, that's a pedestrian diffuser. So we want pedestrians to cross at one ways. It's far safer. Look how wide that home is. Now, even on the wide homes, Bill Moore started from scratch on all of the architecture. He saw the vision, he saw the value, and now we're coming to the south end of the development. This is the southwest area of the development, which is still somewhat under construction. The total development I was 703 lots, so it gives you an idea of just how many homes are up and how many homes are going under construction. Now you'll see some sections of sidewalks that are built as the homes are built. Some builders will take and put all the sidewalks in at once. This one, it's each sidewalk is taken and built as the homes are built. But you can see how well it all places together. It's as if everything went in all at once. And that's in part by BSE Engineering, Hassan Kamal. He's the engineer that actually got us involved. Imagine that, an engineer wanting to do something this outstanding. So we wouldn't have been involved, and this would be an urban grid had the Hassan Kamal of BSE Engineering not said anything and introduced us. So all of this is attributed to that one person. We're now visiting the northwest quadrant, and again, you can see, the homes flaring at the entrance. Homes are facing you. The line of sight increases. The positioning is better, and the challenge on this is 1,350 lots is not having the same repetitive pattern over and over again. Now, coving is a pattern that pulls the homes back. We can vary that to get a different effect, but the shape and the effects of each area is different. Meandering the walks differently, pulling the homes back differently. So, partially when we're doing this work, we don't want to have the same monotonous pattern over and over again. The line of sight, by the way, when you put a home on an angle to another home, when you look out the front, sides, or rear windows, the line of sight is significantly better than the standard regulation 90-foot garage door to garage door. So, we can vary the effects of what you cannot do on a urban grid where every lot is rectangular. You are locked in. When you go to a free-form organic shape, you create neighborhood as an art form. And that's really important. Now, we're approaching the west boundary of the section of land. Now, I was kind of confused because there was a Viera East, Trasona East, and a Trasona West, and to me they look the same. Now we're looking at a little bit wider product than on the northeast corner, but it's still a fairly narrow, high dense product. And I was wondering why even have an east and a west? Well, the west part is all maintenance free. The east part, you mow your own lawn. So this would be more of an empty nester type unit, and it was something they just experimented with. Now, this is the highway along the west boundary. We have a arterial road or collector road along the east boundary. This is actually a highway. So you're driving down the highway, you would see home fronts, you would see the ponds, you would see this instead of having homes aligned along that highway 20 foot from the highway, we're able to maintain the density. We reduced the street right away by 19.3 acres. 19.3 acres, imagine that. This is where the art of coving comes in. It's a redistribution of space. We didn't lose any units. We didn't have to ask to reduce any minimums. We have the same minimums, the same number of units, the same unit mix. And the miracle of this new type of geometry is we actually make things further apart to get the efficiency. It's all about street length. Once we have less street, we have more space. Once we have more space, we have the freedom to have shapes that were just impossible to do before. Now we're crossing over into the southwest section that we visited earlier that's still under construction. Intersections are either diffused or they're on the outside of a curve to help with sight distances. And again, most intersections, the walks pull away from the intersection. Here we see the main trail crossing on one of the more internal collector streets. Look at that space. Look at the views out the windows. Just phenomenal. And that allows a pedestrian to cross at one ways where there's more traffic and there's a high volume trail. So there's a highway system. There's a pedestrian highway system So we actually designed all the pedestrian trails, the main trails first, and then to design the neighborhood around it. The typical development, whether new urban or suburban, you design the streets and then you design the walk system. On a new urban development, you put even more streets in there so you can have walking connectivity around the four-way intersections, which are very dangerous. This is a much safer alternative to what's being built today. And again, pedestrian deaths have skyrocketed, and we feel this is a much safer alternative. So let's talk about this pedestrian highway system. There's a system that bisects a site, binds the four quadrants together with a circle, and then extends to the future commercial to the southeast corner. In all of our neighborhoods, we design the pedestrian system first, then design the neighborhood around that. It's a pedestrian highway system, as we said before. So this is the very southwest corner, and we wanted as straight of a direction to the northeast corner as possible, because the northeast corner is actually where the commercial, the hospital is, the employment, the shopping. So we really wanted to be as direct as possible. We have that central traffic diffuser. Again, it would have been ideal to go straight, but you could see that would have been dangerous. So we deviated in the middle of the site but still try to keep as direct as we could of a connection. And so this pedestrian system really is unique. It makes this neighborhood far more functional than a subdivision of land. We're not building streets for the trails or walks. We're building walks for the trails or walks. And you can see we're far away from a car. There's just no way we're going to get hit by a vehicle over in this area. Maybe a bicycle, but certainly not a vehicle. And so we're looking at creating neighborhoods that are much safer. Very few crossings with streets. Here we have this large scale cul-de-sac we talked about earlier, and it becomes a feature. And then we're coming back to that northeast corner, and that's really the connection to where the action is, where the you know the shopping is, the employment. Why are you using the trails? Well, let's go shop. Let's go get a bite. And to come to full circle on this presentation, we're going to look at the circular trail. Look at how it collects the meandering walks. Meandering walks are on one side of the street on minor streets. They're on both sides of the streets on major streets. Now we're intersecting with the major trail, and that intersection is going to be happen twice, but we're trying to tie in to these different areas so that it's easy to get to this main trail. You want to go for a walk, you want to go for a run, you get on the main trail, you come right back, and it's convenient to every home within the neighborhood. When we cross a higher traffic street, we put a diffuser, we make it safer. So we wanted to have different experiences, different shapes. There are no two areas that is shaped even remotely the same. Are you looking over ponds? It's really something. You might say, well, who wants to live on a main trail? Well, I'll tell you who wants to live on a main trail. All those homes that are on a main trail. This is pullback. See how the homes are pulled away from the space, so you have a expanded view of space. Not just the homes that are pulled back, but the homes that are along the main trail. They're not looking directly into their backyard. The previous plan would have had homes 40 foot back to back, 40 foot back to back. So when people say coving, what you're doing is you're sacrificing the backyards. That is absolutely false. That is absolutely false. We are increasing front yard, side yard, rear yard, and we're doing it by decreasing the street length. How much? From the previous plan, we decreased the street length 38%. Now, run the numbers. You have the same density, you have more space, more premiums, more functional homes, and do you know what it cost you? 38% less street length. 38%. That's a huge number. Now you can take and have a better home. Why throw it in the dirt? Why throw it in the utilities? That's 38% less utility main length. So if someone is telling you, hey, it doesn't work financially, they're probably a civil engineer that's charging a percentage of infrastructure cost. Because these developments do. They're less cost to develop. They have more premium lots. They are safer. They have better pedestrian connectivity. Like what we did with Viera Builders, we would work with your designers. You have a better home. This is what progress is about. And this progress has been very much missing in the industry. If you look at a home built 10 years ago, it functions the same as 20, 30, 40 years ago. Subdivisions look the same. New urbanism is just a repeat of plans from the 1800s. We're trying to change this industry. Trasona at Viera is the beginning of a new age. And if you want to learn more, please contact us. Trasona at Viera set the seed for a new age of development, a new age of neighborhoods. Not just here. We've been able to showcase this to teach other builders how to replicate this, and other builders are doing it all over the country that we work with. If you're a consultant, if you're an architect, an engineer, a planner, a landscape architect, a surveyor, our system, the Land Mentor system, is not software. It's an educational product that teaches you a new way to think, a new way to build, a new way to develop land so that we could create neighborhoods that are far more functional, small or large. If you want a great place to live, there's still another 700 lots available here, and you get them before it runs out. If you want to live in Florida, this is a great place to live. It's just a wonderful place, but we're replicating this all over the country. We're helping other consultants through the Land Mentor system replicate it to do the work in fraction of the time. It replaces AutoCAD. It's a virtual system that allows you to put on VR headsets and with less effort and less work than you can with an Autodesk product, get your work out better and faster, and at the same time educates you on how to do things better so that this becomes a new standard. Cities want change. Cities want better development. Let's give it to them. You know, we do this day in and day out. We've done 1,300 developments in 47 states and in 18 nations. It's a movement. You know, we could help you grow. Right now, suburbia with COVID and the riots, that's the thing right now. Let's help you, the industry, make better suburban developments. So Trasona was a start for many, many new developments we're doing today, where architecture and planning merge, where engineers don't just look at the rules and just follow them religiously, but seek new ways to reduce the utilities. All of this allows us to put more money into the home and create a better product. We do that with many other products today. Let's do that with the neighborhoods that we live in and create a new era of prosperity for the builders. I mean, look at Viera Builders. When we started, they were number 258 on the Professional Builder 500. Today, they are 108. 108. And there's not, they build in Viera. This should be, proof of a new way to build, and let us help you get there. Let us help you be successful in this new suburban era.